You may be sabotaging your own career without even realizing it. Let's examine 5 common mistakes professionals sometimes make that stall their careers. Sadly, it can take years to recover from these silent killers. And stick around for career killer number 5. It's something that will either skyrocket your future or bury it if you choose to ignore it. But before we get to that, I want to start with one that many of us make before we even realize we're doing it. Okay, career killer number 1, not keeping your true feelings to yourself. Most people won't make this mistake, but a few can't help themselves. To demonstrate, I want to share with you something that happened to me when I was managing a large staff for an East Coast company. I had somebody on my team who not only antagonized all his colleagues, but his work was riddled with errors. I didn't know what to do to reduce the errors, which were making us all look bad. My boss came up with a plan, which under normal circumstances would have been a good one, and that was that I'd bring him in and the supervisor, and we'd all talk to him. We both thought by having all of us focused on the issue, he would see the seriousness of the matter and take appropriate action. After about 15 minutes of discussion, this team member announced, "I don't see why I should try and get my reports right. It won't get me promoted." Well, he was right about that. 3 minutes later, my boss, with steam coming out of his ears, asked everyone but me to leave and closed the door. He had 4 words for me: fire him right now. What to do instead? I'm not saying he was wrong to think that. We can't help what we think, but we can help what comes flying out of our mouth. Not all career killers are so loud and obvious. The next one is a quiet killer, but it ruins trust before you've even had a chance to build it. Career killer number 2, blasting your career expectations to everyone too early. There's a fine art of discerning what's appropriate to say and when, and knowing when to keep your mouth shut. It's a lot harder than it sounds. Most professionals think long term. When they take a job, they view it as a stepping stone to help them get to the next level of their career. That's fine, but this is not information you want to share with your coworkers, especially when you're first hired. Don't talk too much about wanting to get promoted, and definitely not with your coworkers, who will often be your competitors if there is an internal slot that opens up. Very few people take a position with the goal of staying there for the rest of their career. That's a given. But you can turn off people by talking about your future, your hopes for being promoted too soon and too much. Now, just because it's not a great idea to talk about getting promoted on day 1, there are those who go to the opposite extreme, never mentioning it, and this sometimes leads management to the wrong conclusion. Career killer number 3, not making your expectation known. You would think this wouldn't be necessary, but sometimes it is. And to be blunt, because I don't want you to miss the point, this is most important or more important for women, and especially those women with children. Let management know that you are interested in moving up when the right opportunity presents itself. This way, you won't run into the same mess I did early in my career. I was talking to my boss, and somehow the issue of promotions came up, and he said ever so nonchalantly, "Oh, I didn't think you cared about that." I wanted to scream at him, "Whatever gave you that idea?" But thankfully, I managed to restrain myself and have an intelligent conversation about the matter. Don't leave this any doubt in their mind. Don't be obnoxious, but be clear. Make sure that management realizes you're interested in moving up the career ladder. And of course, you're interested in making more money. But don't make money the focus. When there's an opening, ask for it. Be very polite and say something like, "I'd like to be considered for the job." Be prepared to explain why you are the best candidate, focusing on your skills and achievements as much as possible, and avoid comparing yourselves to who you think are other likely candidates. For starters, they may not be a candidate in management's eyes, and you don't want to give them the idea. This is especially important, for example, if you're a supervisor and the manager leaves. Recognize that when you put yourself out there like this, you absolutely take the chance that you won't get the position. But it is a risk we all have to take at some point if we want to get promoted, especially if you suspect that they think you're not interested. Next up is the career killer most people will rationalize as being fair, but but is it? Career killer number 4, expecting to be paid before taking on new responsibilities. Would you work a higher level job for free? What if it was the only way to get that job in the first place? This is a rough one, and sometimes you need to walk a fine line. That is, expecting to be paid before being promoted or before taking on new assignments. I want to talk about this in a little more detail. It is important that you can distinguish between this and expecting to be paid for every little additional task you take on. It's not that easy. Most of us have in our job descriptions something that says other duties as assigned, or something like that. You might be concerned that if you take a new position and there's no change in title or compensation, that you'll end up doing it forever with no change in title or salary. And to be fair, this does on occasion happen. So you want to find a happy medium. You don't want to lose the opportunity, but at the same time, you don't want to be walked all over. You might say something like, okay, can we do this on a trial basis for a reasonable amount of time? For example, with the supervisor and the manager who's left, and you're going to take on the manager's responsibility, and they're not ready to give you the title. There's usually a myriad of corporate reasons for this. Some are valid and some, to be fair, are not. You might say something like, okay, well, how about I do it for the next 2 months, and then we sit down and reevaluate whether I should have the position. Here's something to consider. If there is a position that you want and you apply for it and they say, hey, we don't think you're ready, you could say, well, what about if we try it for a few months and then you make the final determination as to whether I should get it or not. This might work again in the supervisor-manager position, the supervisor-manager scenario. You might get the opportunity that way that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten. Now, of course, anytime you do this, you're putting yourself out there and you might not get it in the end. But no risk and no reward. And if they do bring someone else in, number one, you've gained some valuable experience in the interim, and you also know where you stand with this particular management team, and you can make your plans for the future accordingly. It's tough, but it's valuable insights that will help you. Now, the tools for your job are changing. For everybody's job, they're changing. AI isn't coming for your job, but someone who knows how to use it just might be. Career killer number 5, not learning how to craft AI queries. Now, let me be clear about this. I'm not talking about becoming a programmer or some other technical geek or guru. I'm talking about learning how to use AI to do a better job in your current position, in the same way you use Excel, the internet, and email. Learning how to write a prompt in Chatgpt or one of the many other AI tools is the new Excel, if you will. You don't need to be a tech wizard. You just need to get curious and learn a little. Don't know where to start? Click on both of the links that have appeared on your YouTube screen, obviously not at the same time, and are in the description to get started and learn how to use Microsoft Copilot and/or Chatgpt, and how to get your own free account. Good luck.